welcome to Planet Sci-Fi from the makers of Planet Marzipan. I'm your host, Craig Houston. Hello and welcome to a new episode of Planet Sci-Fi. I'm your host, Craig, and I am joined by some of our regular legends, by co-host Stuart. How are you, Stuart? Mr. Chandler, are you good?
I'm all good. Thank you very much, Mr. Houston.
Mr. K, Mikey, are we good?
We are very good. Thank you very much, sir. How are we all?
Not too bad, and I would say congratulations on a new job with Mr. K there, and he's going to be heading in a tangential direction in the way of science fiction, CCG, and all this kind of strangeness. But we'll talk about that down the line. And Mr. Tennick, are we good?
We're very good. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure as always, as always. Right, guys. So this one is one of my choices. And we are going to bare our teeth and go into Jurassic Park. Ooh. Now I'm gonna have me bitch straight away.
Nope.
And it's to do with the book. And the tagline for the book from the very beginning is, "In the future, there will be dinosaurs." Hold on a minute. This book came out in 1990 in America, 1991 over here, 1992 the paperback. It is set in 1989. So at which point is a book that was written in 1990, set the year before, set in the future? Just a little bit of...
When did he start writing it, though?
Well, actually, his first initial idea for it was back in about 1983. And the story was completely different in his initial concept. And it was about, I think, about one man cloning, I think it was a pterosaur or something like that. So it wasn't, it wasn't a park. It wasn't anything like that. It was just a thing about cloning and just one dinosaur. But what we'll do, let's just pedal back and we'll talk about how we first became aware of the book, then the film, and then we'll go on to discuss the film, the franchise, the book, and pretty much everything in between. So who wants to go first?
Well, I might as well.
Go on then, Maggie.
From the off, obviously we've been discussing what we're going to do and whose picks are what. Top of the page here is this is a big hats off to Sam Neill, who unfortunately is no longer with us. So this and the adjoining episodes for me are a tribute to that guy. So just get that out of the way. God bless you, Sam. It's been a pleasure.
And we've actually, before we go in there, I'm just going to dive in because we're all fans of Sam Neill, but Mikey, I would say infatuation with Sam Neill goes way back when, because as long as I've known you, which has been like 40 years, you have loved him first sight on from Damien Omen 3.
That's absolutely correct. I did model my look / hairstyle exactly the same side parting on Sam Neill in that said film. Yes. So yeah, I absolutely adore the man. He's a fantastic actor. Was a fantastic actor. He's a legend.
Loved him.
So, yeah.
Loved him.
So yeah, Jurassic Park. I first became aware of it because Craigie Boy here radiated the book. And I think we knew about the film. Well, I was aware of the film being made after Craig had read the book. So Michael Crichton, one of my favorite films of all time is The Andromeda Strain. So there was going to be absolute adoringness going on from that. And of course, the guy wrote it was ER, wasn't it? His brainchild.
Yes.
So that was how I kind of knew about his writing. And Craig did say to me, "Do you want to read the book?" And I was like, you know what? No, 'tis a film coming out, and I think at that point my book reading had kind of slid a little. I was probably reading more graphic novels and comics at that point. Um, but the overriding thing about Jurassic Park for me, um, before the film launched, was the marketing, and I don't think there had been anything of that level probably since Tim Burton's Batman. I think that is the
Agreed.
closest that we came. But you know, it didn't matter where you were on the lead up to the summer of '93. You couldn't turn your head without seeing that iconic logo. Um, and I think the funny thing is usually when films pick up rights to books or whatever, usually the aesthetics of it aren't set in stone, and the film companies will just go off in their own direction, art department, blah blah blah. But this logo was iconic from the book, from the off. So to pick and lift it was probably something entirely new. And apart from the new tagline, which was obviously an adventure 65 million years in the making, it was just that black, the red, the yellow, the white, the starkness of it all. And when the film did launch, what I didn't expect to see when we sat down to watch it was how that logo played out into the actual park itself.
Yeah.
And it was like,
Yeah.
And the gift shop.
And the gift
shop,
in the
you
film.
But I mean, in the 90s, me and Craig would attend the opening of an envelope. I mean, basically, if it launched, if
the light came on, we were there.
And I think my overriding memory of the entire film from start to finish, I think, was just my jaw was on my lap. You remember the tagline from Superman, which was like, "You will believe a man can fly," or words to that effect.
Yeah,
it was almost like you will believe that dinosaurs can exist. It was just absolutely stunning. And I mean, I had little plucky dinosaurs when I was a kid. Loved dinosaurs. I used to get Airfix models. Like I had a T-Rex, I had a pterodactyl. And I adored dinosaurs growing up, but they became kind of uncool for quite a while. And then Jurassic Park hit, and then all of a sudden, before long, you had BBC's Walking with Dinosaurs. You had, it just exploded everywhere. And who better to helm it than a fantastic writer and a fantastic director? I mean, and a cast which were absolutely faultless. So yeah, very happy memories from '93 for that film. And I did eventually read the book. I think probably around '94. I think, or was it '95 when the second book came out, Craig?
95 Lost World came out.
Right. That's when you lent me Jurassic Park, the original one, when you picked up Lost World, and I was like, there's bits in this that's not in the book, which obviously led into Lost World. So yeah, very, very strong, vivid memories of that.
Okay, Stuart, what were your thoughts on it?
Well, I think I first became aware probably through reading Empire magazine, actually, the film mag, and first started hearing about it through that. And then, as Mike says, sort of like the ball started rolling on brands and marketing and everything like that. And next thing I know, I'm in the cinema in summer '93, and watching Agog with house full of cinema goers, and just incredible, just a sight to behold. You will believe it. It was never seen anything like it before. It was the perfect melding of real life and SFX. It's
and groundbreaking CGI at the time. Yeah.
Oh, CGI, practical effects, everything. Sort of, and to the extent that, in a way, they haven't managed to top it in a lot of ways. I don't think, because of the sheer sort of jaw, like as Mike said, the jaw dropping aspect of it. You had to be there, really. But yeah, and then I read the book probably afterwards. I think I borrowed it from the library and sort of like thoroughly enjoyed, sort of the differences and the character differences. Richard Hammond's not a cuddly, nice Richard Attenborough. Yeah.
Yeah, far from
John
it.
Hammond, sorry, not Richard Hammond. But yes, and yeah, it was just an amazing film.
No, great. I know you and both your missus are big fans, aren't you?
Huge fans of the films, so I will put my hands up. I've never read the book, and not because I don't want to, just because I'm one of the. I've got a pile of books that I haven't read, and it always I'll take one off it and read it, or I'll buy one. I'll put it on a Kindle and read it. But by the time I finish it, there's 2 more books in my pile.
Yeah.
I have never managed to read all the books I actually want to. I've got a list on my phone. Every time somebody says, "Oh, you need to read this book," and I'll add it, and the list never gets shorter. I'm terrible because I tend to go down rabbit holes, as Stuart found out when we were in Pompeii. Rose and I there's a series of 83 books that we've been reading, 63 books that we've been reading. But for me, so the first thing to hook on was that marketing. That year was just, everything was dinosaur, everything was black, yellow, and red. Everything was just, you couldn't move. And I wonder if, Mikie, that follow through from the book to the films was because Crichton and Spielberg knew each other and were friends and been working previously. So there was maybe a
synergy.
Yeah, a synergy or a relationship that they were able to pull it all through rather than the film company forcing their hands or whatever. I don't know. But I remember for me, so I worked as an engineer at the time and software design, doing structural steel work and all this kind of things. So for me, the thing that drew me to the film initially was ILM and the software and the CGI. Because if you think about it, I mean, it came out in 93. There are films that came out up to a decade later that don't look anywhere near as good.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is phenomenal what they did in this film. I mean, I grew up watching things like Sinbad with your plasticine stop motion and all that kind of stuff. So I've gone the whole gamut all the way through, sort of the
Ray Harryhausen stuff was classic.
Yeah, the Ray Harryhausen, but they also Flash Gordon with the matchstick at the end of the silver tube as they're they're flying through the sky and all this kind of stuff. And then to go to the cinema, we watched it again. Rose and I watched it again this weekend, and to go to the cinema and watch dinosaurs walk, because that's what you did. Within seconds you forgot it was computer graphics. You just didn't even watching this film. You'd your jaw hit the floor, and it was just you were agog for the entire thing. It was, and I watched it yesterday with Rose, and I'm like, it's still fresh.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I think that perfect blend of Stan Wilson's animatronic creations,
practical effects,
alongside ILM's work was just magic. It really was. And isn't this the movie where DTS was first?
Yes. Spielberg actually he got the company set up to do the surround sound for it.
Just so you could hear the T-Rex roar.
Yeah, good.
I mean, for me, my first inclination of it was actually when the novel came out in paperback in the in early part of 92. There was a review of it in Starburst magazine, and I was like, "Oh, I quite fancy the sound. I'll keep an eye for that." And I'd not exactly forgotten about it, but I'd kind of put it slightly in the back of my head. And in the March of 92, me, Mikie, and Claire, who I was going out with at the time, we went down to London to see Fish at the Andy Field Memorial gig at Hammersmith. We were down for a couple of days, and one of those days we went to the Natural History Museum to see the dinosaurs. And all around the dinosaurs at the time, there were actually posters advertising the book. You know, perfect place to advertise Jurassic Park, the book, Natural History Museum, dinosaurs. Like, right, that was it. It spurred us on. So we'd gone to the fish gig, done the whole kit and caboodle. I was in W.H. Smith's at the station at King's Cross for we're coming home. They had it in. I picked it up at the station for us getting the train home after going to see fish. And I was an absolute. The people with me lost me completely for that train journey on the way back because I just had my head buried in the book, and I pretty much read it nearly all on the way home. We actually got delayed at Darlington for a while for some reason. I think we got stopped there for about an extra half hour. I didn't give a shit. I was reading the book. So I think I only about like 20 pages left to read the following day, and that. So I read it in 2 sittings and absolutely loved the book. And when heard that, because I think it was also around about the time when the paperback came out that was the talk of them doing the film adaptation. When I said Spielberg was going to do it, he just thought that, yeah, this is going to be something. And we went to see it in the opening night. I'm trying to did we see it at Warner Brothers at Newcastle? I think that's where I saw that. I think it was Warner.
It's highly likely because I think
Warner
we were frequenting there more than anywhere else at that point.
Yeah, but I think that's where we saw that. Absolutely loved it agog. I think, and I actually, I'd read the book again before I went to see the film, and yes, there are quite a lot of differences between the book and the film to do with tone, to do with the story, to do with scenes. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So absolutely loved it. Then it was announced pretty much soon after the film that Michael Crichton was going to write a follow-up novel, and I managed to pick it up on the day of release in hardback. It was very difficult to get on the day of release in hardback because we were down to London again. This time was to see Marillion on the Afraid of Sunlight tour, because it came out in the September 95, and I hunted around everywhere to pick up a copy, and it was I think it was Dillon's back in the day, the bookstore in Trafalgar Square.
It was.
They'd just got their delivery in, and I swiped the hardback out of them, pretty much out of the delivery box.
How times have changed, because nowadays all you do, and when it's announced, you go online, you'd reserve a hardback book and go and pick it up whenever you wanted from the shop, or get it delivered. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yes, but 31 years ago it was a little bit different.
Yeah.
So
like concert tickets.
Yeah. So again, coming back from a gig in London, people lost me to my head in a Jurassic Park book. And then the film, the Lost World turned up 2 years later as a movie. So that's my thing. And I do love the books. But spoiler alert, I actually prefer the films more. But we'll get into that. So we've all talked about our love for it. So for about 3 people on the planet who haven't seen or read Jurassic Park, it is the story of a multi-millionaire philanthropist in the film, bit of a maniac in the book, industrialist in the book, who gets creates a genetic research company to basically build the world's greatest theme park by resurrecting dinosaurs through the use of DNA taken from mosquitoes embedded in amber from 65 plus million years ago, to create a theme park on the Isla Nublar, just in the Pacific, just off the coast of south of San Diego. And that's the bloody main country that it's from. Where's my ring gone? Costa Rica. So basically it hires an island from the Costa Rican government to make his theme park. They grow lots of different types of dinosaurs, and in the book, Dr. Wu, same character, doesn't know from from the embryos and doesn't care what's being grown. They just get the embryo. If it works, if it works, if it grows, see what's in there. In the film, it's a lot more planned and a lot more regimented. And there's an accident in the park in both the book and the film where a worker gets mauled by a velociraptor, and the investors of InGen want an inspection of the park, which gets all of the main characters together. So you've got Ian Malcolm, who's a chaostician, and you've got Alan Grant, and you've got Ellie, who are the diggers, as they call them in the film. They are the dinosaur experts. You've got the lawyer in the film, who is actually an amalgam of two characters from the book. And you've got Tim and Ellie, who are Hammond's grandchildren, who come across to the island for the inspection. And things go a bit wrong when Dennis Nedry, who is the computer programmer behind all of the park systems, is bribed by the InGen's InGen's competitors to steal embryos, and it goes a bit wrong, and he shuts down the park's security things, and everything goes crazy because all the dinosaurs start getting loose.
Hilarity ensues. Yeah.
And hilarity ensues. And so, as a story, it is quite similar in respect of his previous work being Westworld, where theme park goes wrong. Now, when he was actually writing the book initially, he was very, very noticing that he didn't want to go along those lines, because that's why he procrastinated and changed the book so many times from 1983 to 1990. And he finally embraced that it had to be a theme park. It had to be what it became to actually work. And I think, fair play to it. Absolute fair play to it. So can you remember much about the book, Mikie?
Very little. I mean, we're talking a long time ago. I do seem to remember a plot line to do with migration.
Yes, to be fair, that is the whole point of the book, which is taken completely out of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the book at the beginning,
there's like dinosaurs turning up on a beach somewhere, isn't there?
Yes.
Where
basically the start,
in...
the start of the Lost World is essentially similar to the start of the Jurassic Park book, but it's not a British couple with a kid getting attacked. Because you've got all different types of small dinosaurs appearing on like local islands, like away from the island of the park, and right the way through, you've got like raptors in the film compared to the book. When the boat leaves for the storm, there's two baby raptors who stow away on the boat, which is taking the workers of Jurassic Park off the island to avoid the storm. But again, there's the start of the book is a mauled employee gets helicoptered into a hospital on an island, like away from the dinosaur island, and that's not in the film at all.
Right. I mean, in the film, it's like a classic monster opening, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
With Muldoon and the gatekeepers trying to put the raptor into the enclosure.
Wonderful Bob Peck,
And again, one of the differences between the film and the book is that Muldoon's character in the book actually survives.
Yeah.
He's not killed. But I mean, so what do you remember of the book, Stuart?
A book. I remember reading it. And I remember the major sort of major character differences, but I don't remember much at all about the plot really. And I have to say I haven't reread it, but it's very enjoyable in its own right. It's and it's definitely worth a read.
Yeah.
I've as a
just
companion.
as a companion piece, it's good, and the characters are there are considerable differences because Ian Malcolm's character, played by Jeff Goldblum in the film, is a lot different. He's not like the cool suave guy that he is in the film. And all he seems to be doing is spending the entire book complaining about things and just explaining chaos theory in different
You're bringing
versions
it back to me.
to anybody who will listen. And
it's very important as well, I think, to point out to our listeners as well, that it is really not a film tie-in as well. As you say, it came in first. It was a novel first, and then came a film, which is
and the thing as well is with the theme that that saying that the dinosaurs can't breed because they're genetically engineered and they need the license to survive and stuff. That's in both the book and the film. But in the book, the eggs aren't natural eggs. The embryos are implanted into like an artificial egg, and then that's the big difference as well. When Alan Grant finds the raptor eggs in the wild,
he knows
they're breeding naturally. They're not an artificial egg. But what Mike is saying as well is that the migration and the whole bird thing is played on a lot heavier in the book than it is in the film. But I do think the film, in so many respects, works a lot better than the book.
I can't remember, but was the mention of the amphibian DNA being used in the book?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But in the film, it's in the film, it's just amphibian DNA. In the book, there's more than amphibian DNA because it doesn't work with some dinosaurs. There's a certain different DNA for different dinosaurs.
Yeah, I mean, when I was rewatching the film at the back end of last week, there was two things that I picked up on that I was aware of, but they kind of pass you by. And the whole film wouldn't have been, well, sorry, not the film, but the whole story wouldn't have been the disaster it was had it not been for that one event, which was, somebody being bribed to steal the embryos. And I thought, well, that's why there was such a heavy emphasis on Jeff Goldblum's character with the chaos theory, because it's like you can't predict that one event happening, which then causes this cascade of other events. That park could have opened and it would have been perfectly fine and it would have been a Disney film. And the other thing was the amphibian DNA, which, like, obviously, I was thinking to myself, would this actually work? But then I just happened to fall across this article saying that we're only sort of like one DNA strand away from pigs or something like that, and I just thought, well, if that's the case, then I suppose anything's possible.
Oh
yeah. Oh, I mean, the thing is it's science fiction, but it's not out there science fiction.
No, it's grounded enough to be believable.
I would say there's probably probably a whole generation of people out there that think that dinosaurs can be cloned from mosquitoes in amber.
So I think, am I right in thinking, because one of the things I read was, where they do the ride in the film and you've got the little DNA strand telling them the story.
That's not there. No,
I know it's not in the book, but that's used to condense an extrapolated part of the book where they explain the science, isn't it? Which is one of the things that, so I find Michael Crichton, Thomas Harris, a couple of people that I read, they all have this, when they want to explain something, they do it in exquisite detail to the point that sometimes you go, how many pages do I have to skip? But it's interesting that So George Lucas is known as the guy that does all the boys' own stories. You know, your Indiana Jones and sorry, Steven Spielberg, all boys' own stories, all that kind of stuff. And I wonder if that's why Jeff Goldblum's character becomes the cool guy, and you've got the because you talked about the levity of the film compared to some of the book.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's that Steven Spielberg influence. It's like that boys' own stories stuff. It's like the Goonies and all that kind of stuff that, you know, all these like really, it makes it, if you took the book as I understand and made it into a film, it wouldn't have been so enjoyable for kids, but there's enough characters in the film of interest to make it actually span quite an age group.
Yeah.
You know, I remember
Well,
my
yeah.
kids watched it when they were young and loved it.
Yeah, I mean, it's right there in the film. It's like instant character definition as well.
Yeah.
When you meet Sam Neill's character, when you meet Laura Dern's character, everybody, you know who they are, what they're all about,
And what their
immediately.
mindset is. You've
Yeah.
got the serious scientist. You've
Yeah.
got the one trying to say, I know you're a serious scientist, but there's more to life. You've got the one saying, should we really be playing with
Yeah.
shit like this? You know, you've got all this kind of, so I get it. And it's so well done. The character
Yeah. It's so
arcs through
tight.
the film.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the gamekeeper, Muldoon. I
Yeah,
love his character.
Bob Peck. Yeah.
But it's done in such a way that it is the characters and I think the casting of it just make it so believable, because you know
Oh, yeah.
that it's such a caliber that, you know, but you know, it's similar to kind of like what Harrison Ford had said with Star Wars. You know, you can write this shit, but can you actually say it? And no matter how outlandish you would think Jurassic Park is and things and stuff and everything like that, these guys sell it 100%.
But how? Because you know that point where they're getting driven the first time they've been picked up the helicopters, they're in the jeeps, they're getting driven to the park.
Yeah.
And they stop and they look, and their faces all, their jaws drop, their eyes go wide, and they see the first dinosaur. They actually saw fuck all.
Yeah.
You know, so to have that, I mean, it is acting to the nth degree. And you've got so many actors nowadays that complain about having to do that, not having anything to act to. But I mean, Laura Dern's face is exquisite. You know, it is exactly as you would imagine a scientist who studied these things for their entire life, and then you see one walking through the park, and the face just it's so well done.
That whole sequence with the hat, the glasses. Yeah.
The thing is, though, that sequence needed to be about 20 seconds longer, because they actually cut a piece from the trailer that was in the trailer that wasn't in the film. It's when they're in the Jeep just before they see the dinosaurs for the first time. Laura Dern grabs a leaf while in the Jeep going, and she's like looking at this big leaf going, this shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And if you see in the film, just before they see the dinosaur, you actually see her with the leaf in her hand.
So I watched a version yesterday, and she does actually, this shouldn't be here. Yeah. So, because Rose said to me, it's funny because we were watching it, and Rose went, "Is this a director's cut?" I'm like, "Don't know, but I don't remember all of this." So I think we watched the director's cut yesterday, which was really quite interesting, because I'm like, either I'm getting senile or that wasn't in the version I saw in the cinema.
Yeah, because she grabs it off in the trailer, but you don't see her grabbing it off and things like that. But yeah, I mean, there are some pivotal pieces in the book that don't make it into the first film, but they do make it into subsequent sequels. So like the opening of the film where the child gets attacked on the beach, that ends up in the Lost World. You've got the river rafting bit. There's a version that where when Alan Grant and the kids are when they're getting away from the T-Rex and they spend the night in the park. That's a lot condensed in the film. So you've got a piece where they're doing like a rafting down the river to get away. And there's a little bit of that used in Jurassic Park 3, but mainly used in the the latest film with the T-Rex and
Oh yeah.
with the rafting scene. You've got the waterfall scene where they're hiding in the waterfall and the T-Rex puts its head in and licks them. That's in the Lost World. But whereas somebody gets a snake down the back and screams and jumps out and gets eaten by the T-Rex. So that originally the version of that is in the book, but it's in the film. Then you've got the whole bit with the aviary, which is in the
Oh,
book.
Yeah.
But you don't get to see the pterosaurs properly until Jurassic Park 3, where they deal with the aviary properly in the third one. So there's lots of bits where in the book that they haven't used in the film, but they've used it in subsequent films, which is, if you've got some good set pieces, you might as well use them all.
Well, yeah. I mean, one thing you couldn't predict is how much Sam Jackson smokes in it, of course. But
And the fact he doesn't get to swear.
no.
He doesn't.
Is that
get
the
to
only
swear.
film that he doesn't swear?
Quite possibly.
It could
Well,
be.
One of the
It should
few.
be,
One
yeah.
of the few.
Quite
But it's funny
possibly.
because it's one of the things we commented on. It's like, oh, do you remember being able to smoke in the office? Oh,
Yeah.
probably saved my life banning it because that means I wasn't allowed to smoke as many of them. So
No, too right. But there's other things as well that I remember in the book compared to the film. In the film, when they do the tour, they don't actually get to see any dinosaurs on the tour, but in the book they do. So all the enclosures that they go past in the book, they actually see the dinosaurs that are supposed to be in those enclosures. And I think it's a very, very clever way of building up the suspense in the film, as opposed to the book.
was it
Where-
building the suspense, or was it saving money because it was all CGI, which used computing power, which is fucking ridiculous? Although
No, I think it was to you had the big reveal early on of the pasture with Sam Neill and Laura Dern seeing the dinosaurs for the
brachiosaurs.
first time.
Yeah.
And then you got into the character stuff of why they're there, doing the tour, and showing the genetics lab, explaining the whole how the park works and how they actually got to where they are, and then with the kids turning up and stuff, and then they go out on the tour, and then that's a bit disappointing. So I think it's just building up the level of tension to get to the T-Rex.
Yeah, definitely. I liked the parallels that were drawn because when they were on that first city down ride and they get into the genetics lab, and they kind of like dive out of the seats, and it's like the same thing happens again when they're on the tour.
Yeah.
It's like they can't see any dinosaurs and they're all getting bored, and obviously they see that poorly triceratops lying in the grass, and they're like, right, out of the doors, we're off, we're going to have a look. Obviously Malcolm's sat there like absolutely aghast. See, there we go, chaos, absolutely moving right. There's some. I get where you're coming from, Graham, and there might have been an element of that, but I agree with Craig as well. I think there's that. It gives you that feeling as well when you're watching it. It's like, I've paid all this money to come to this island to see dinosaurs, and where are they?
Yeah.
You know, it's not dinner time yet.
What you wish
like,
for.
drop a goat, come on. I want to see a T-Rex, you know. And when it does land, it's even more awe-inspiring, I think. But for me, one of the highlights of the film's always been that stampede. You know, it's just so effectual.
Yeah, Gallimimus is getting chased by the T-Rex.
It's just awesome. Absolutely
But
awesome.
the bit with, I mean, obviously in the timeline going through with the film, where they find the poorly Stegosaurus.
Yeah.
Actually,
And
this is
It's a Triceratops.
Yeah, but in the book it's a Stegosaurus. In the film, it's a Triceratops. So they swap the dinosaurs over between the book and the film. But that was done as it was a practical creature.
Yeah,
It wasn't CGI.
animatronic,
It was
yeah.
a fully animatronic one, and that's where it's a good distinction between the use of CGI for animals and the use of animatronics. I mean, I find that the T-Rex and so much stuff in this is absolutely gorgeous, but it's just the fact that they use both techniques
Yes.
to the best effort. I mean, if you look at like Star Wars, you look at the original trilogy, then you look at the second trilogy, then you look at the third trilogy. The first trilogy, everything was practical, and it looked great. In the second trilogy, up to like Revenge of the Sith, and you get Attack of the Clones, and Phantom Menace. It's all CGI, and it just doesn't feel as real
land.
as
No.
what the other ones.
I mean,
And then the third trilogy, Rise of Skywalker, they use, whether you like them or loathe them, they use a much better mixture of
of
Oh,
the
yeah.
two.
CGI and
yeah.
practical.
Yeah, I mean that's first T-Rex reveal, and when it's pinning the car down, that's upside down, and just those scenes where it's like nudging the car and like
Yeah.
doing the snap down and the holding the roof up. It's just so effectual, and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
Have you read the
blended
the
with
stories about when they were filming it?
In the rain,
Yeah.
yeah.
What 1,200 pounds worth of animatronic T-Rex. And they had to have warning systems for everybody when its head was moving, so they knew which way it was going. Because if you got hit by it, you were gone. It's mental to think of it, the scale of it. I mean, it was that big and that heavy, but it worked. So it just looked
Oh, yeah.
fabulous.
And when you're watching it, it's almost minimal in a way, isn't it? Because it's sort of, you're just pushing a car, aren't you? And sort of banging down a bit of perspex, but with sort of, stabs of the T-Rex head. Just,
I think
it's not full on, is it?
the first one for me was the shot from when its foot comes down. So you see his foot going into the mud between you and the car. The car's against, and you see the foot coming down, and that's one of the iconic shots. That's one of the shots that has stuck with me since I first saw the film. I mean, I went back to see it in 3D in was that 2015, 2013?
Something like that.
Yeah. Not that
Went,
long ago, is it? Right?
But so that the Stampede in 3D was fucking amazing, absolutely amazing. But that foot, and all it is an animatronic foot going dink into mud. But God, it works.
Yeah, I mean, the set pieces in it. The initial where they see the brachiosaurs and that in the planes. That's iconic. Then you've got the T-Rex attack preceded by this is what the digital theater sound was designed for. The thud of the feet of the T-Rex, the ripple of the water in the cup. This is where the mastery of Spielberg's direction, and he's known how to set up a scene.
We know the famous story about the cup of water and how he came up with that idea, do we?
Go for it.
Which was him listening to, I think, some Earth, Wind and Fire, I think, in his car, and watching his glass ripple, and thinking, I could use that. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, but I mean that the T-Rex attack there is just one of the big iconic scenes in movie history now, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean it's just full on relentless,
And it's
closely followed by the raptors in the kitchen, which I think has been reused so many times, in other films.
That is one of the
TV
most
series.
perfect suspense scenes.
Yeah.
And that bit where the tapping and stuff like that. Yeah.
I mean, the kitchen scene does actually exist in the book as well. It's not quite how it is in the film, but it exists in the book. But I think the one thing that I always find funny with the T-Rex attack scene there is the geography of that scene is a little bit odd because the way that the T-Rex comes over the fence and then there's the sheer cliff next to it. And he's trying to, if there's a cliff there, where and it does explain it a little bit. I mean, it's a bit different in the book, but I think in the film, the area where it all happens, it's like on a corner, and you can't where the sheer cliff is.
There's a little hint to that when earlier on when Sam Neill and the kids are attacked, and they go down the tree, bang, 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 and then they've gone, and then later Laura Dern's character comes along. And she sort of says,
She looks down.
Where are they? And then she's she's
Suddenly
by
by
the
the car.
Yeah, like I'm like, eh?
I mean, that scene is very similar in the book, but there's also the bit that's different is the T-Rex that Tim's in. It doesn't fall down a cliff. The T-Rex actually throws it up into a tree. So
Yeah.
yeah. So the scene's quite similar, but there's a couple of bits of differences and stuff on that way on.
It's interesting.
And I think
you mentioned the Star Wars movies and the sort of the practical CGI hybrid, because I was going to comment. Obviously, we had the first three Star Wars movies. We had this, and then in '97, obviously, we had the re-releases of the first trilogy, which used hybrid because they digitized some of the stuff. I mean, people call it travesty, people call it sacrilege, whatever. You're entitled to your own view. But I wonder if it was because of the way the technology had changed. He felt that it worked so well in this. If it did give him that nudge to go, well, let's do it.
yeah, it did. I mean, the bit with with Nedry, when he turns off the power to the park and stuff. That's still all in the book. That's quite close. And what happens to Nedry in the book is the same as what happens to him in the film.
He's one of the great baddies. Is Nedry? He's just so slimy and brilliant.
So slimy, it's horrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
and
the bit there where after the T-Rex attack with Alan and the two kids, and now their story is still quite similar to what happens throughout both of them, where they've got to make their way back to the compound. And they go through more trials and tribulations in the book than they do at the film. But I think the film condenses it nicely, and it makes more sense.
You got to feel bad for Timmy.
Well, the thing is, Tim and Lexi, their ages are different. Their ages are flipped in the book, because Tim is the older one in the book, but Lexi's actually the older one in the film. And she's got more to the character, and they've made the character much better in the film than she was in the book.
You think so? Is the human element of the story? The bit where Laura Dern and Sam Neill are talking, and she's like, kids aren't just annoying; they got you needed and then he develops that relationship with them because he's with them through the book, and then obviously you got the ending scene where is that story arc in the book as well, with that relationship thing?
It's similar, but it's not the same. In the book, Alan Grant's character is he's a 40-year-old, fairly chubby bloke with a big beard, and he's not like anti-kid or anything like that, like he is in the film. He's a bit more easygoing with the kids and a bit more protective and stuff that way on. So the characters do bond like they do in the film. But there wasn't a setup to say that he was like not wanting kids that much. He quite liked the fact that Tim was like really into his dinosaurs and things like that. So it was almost a bit more of a mentor-y kind of relationship from the beginning in it. But I mean, also one of the big differences is that the park isn't deserted in the book. You've got about 20 plus members of staff who are still working in the park to get things back in. So it's not like everybody's escaped in the boat to escape the storm. And what happens is you've got the power outage and everything like that is the same in the book as the film, but the guys actually managed to get the power back on earlier in the book and start like trying to get the paddocks closed and things and stuff like that a little bit earlier on. But it's a bit of a feint because it's running on emergency power, and they haven't actually got the mains back on, so everything fails again. So they're starting to fix things and get things better, but it fails again. But which leads you to one of the things that the main villains of the piece are the Velociraptors, who really come to play in the second third of the film, and similarly in the book.
Yeah.
Because as you mentioned earlier on, the velociraptors there's a couple of velociraptors, like younger ones, who've actually got onto the boat because Sam Neill's character, Alan Grant, in the book, they see the velociraptors getting on, and one of the things that they need to get back to the hunting lodge, as it's called in the book, as fast as possible, to warn the people on the boat that they've got the velociraptors on there, to stop them and to turn the boat round before it gets to the mainland, before the dinosaurs can get into the population.
I was going to say, amongst the many, many quotable lines of this movie, to this day, I still use "clever girl."
Oh yeah.
Usually when I'm sat eating my tea and I've got one cat on my left-hand side and one cat on my right-hand side, and you try to protect your food from one of them and the other one's reaching the point, oh, clever girl.
That's brilliant, and that's not in the book at all, because Muldoon survives, so he doesn't get killed or anything like that. I mean, there's a thing with the raptors at this point, though, is the raptors are attacking the lodge, and the people
Yeah.
they've barricaded themselves in, and they're smashing their way in to get to like Hammond and Malcolm, and that when they actually get back there. So it's a bit more of a siege thing going on in the book than that is in the film.
It's go on, Grae.
Well, I was going to say, one of the lines that I absolutely love in the film is like, "Unless they've learned how to open a door."
Yeah,
and
they do, and in the book the book's in there, and some of the stuff does play out the same with when they get back there. The whole scene where they need to go out and run the gauntlet to get the power back on. That's in there, but most of the surviving Jurassic Park workers who didn't leave are killed by velociraptors. So there's more of a more people getting mauled and murdered than in the book than there is in the film.
Oh, that's one of the interesting things about the film, was making sort of T-Rex a hero in the end. Which is sort of is clever how they've sort of managed to sort of make very unfeeling things good in a baddie.
I mean the ending. You're all building up to the ending in the lodge where they all make it back there. They get the power back on, but the velociraptors manage to, even though they get everything locked in, the velociraptors manage to actually get in and chase them. And then you've got the big essentially ending where you're in the big room, which is the big entranceway to the hunting lodge, where you've got the when dinosaurs rule the earth poster on. You've got the big skeleton there, and escaping the velociraptors, and then they're getting cornered, and suddenly the aforementioned T-Rex turns up and basically has a fight to the death between them and the remaining velociraptors,
and smashes through his own bones.
That's it. It's beautifully poetic, isn't it? Because you've got that old skeleton falling away, and then the T-Rex triumphant roar, and that banner just wafting to the floor. And it's like, we're here again. I mean, again, absolutely awesome line. I think it's Malcolm who says it, which is, "God creates dinosaurs. God destroys dinosaurs. God creates man. Man destroys God. Man creates dinosaurs." It's beautifully played out.
Is it not Laura Dern that then says, "And dinosaurs eat man"?
Woman inherits the earth.
Women inherit the earth.
Yeah. Dinosaurs eat man, women inherit the earth. Yeah.
So good.
Absolutely. And who to this day, I mean, even now, if I put a wrong password into a website and it comes up with, you've entered the wrong password, I always in the back of my head get a every time anything breaks. Absolutely iconic stuff.
It's interesting. I mean, it's like the velociraptors are so key to the story, and the size they are is key to the way they fit in the film. But at the time he made it, I mean, it's one of the trivia on IMDb is that he wanted them to be 10 feet tall, but at the time they'd only found examples of velociraptors that were 5 to 6 feet tall. And it wasn't until after they'd made the movie that they actually discovered velociraptors the size that he used in the film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is barking, really, when you think of it. It's like, I want them big enough to be scary. You know, we can't have small monsters. And then they actually turned out to be that size in real life, which is
but you know, small vicious bastards always the worst.
exactly.
I mean, the book is the book's kind of ending is so much different because the way that the velociraptors, most of them are bumped off, is because the meat eaters, they were eating eggs and stuff. So what Alan Grant's character does, he injects the eggs with poison and throws them at the velociraptors who eat the eggs, and the poison it's a fast acting poison from a venom, and it basically kills them. Like their bodies shut down even before they've realized what's happened. So there's no T-Rex rescue in the book, and also at this point, Hammond's character breaks his leg outside and gets eaten by little compies. So he doesn't make it into the sequel, but he's in the second film, and the film ends, with them leaving the island. But the book, they actually, after they've got the park back under control, they decide to go out and hunt down the raptor's nest because they know fine well that if the raptors are breeding, there's going to be problems. So they find raptors' nests with dozens of different raptors of different ages, but they're all still quite young, and they're trying to gas them to kill them. But at this point, they've gone because they're in a cave, and the raptor in this cave is linked to a big beach, and there's loads of raptors on the beach who are trying to figure out a way to get off the island. So what Mikey said earlier on is the whole film is different to the themes of the books. The themes of the book is all about migration and the dinosaurs wanting to be like birds and naturally migrate off the island.
The only real nod to that in the film is at the end when they're flying off in the helicopter, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you see the albatrosses flying.
Yeah. Life will find a way.
Yeah. But I do think as a structure and as a sensible story, I think the film wins out over the book.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the book.
A sensible story about dinosaur cloning and
exactly.
But at least
chaos theory.
At least Spielberg got Crichton in though.
Yes.
To work the screenplay. It's not as if he just gave it to a writing team to drum up and strip it away from its self. It's essentially his own work again.
And one of the benefits of that is he had previous experience in film, didn't he? So he directed and written screenplays and stuff. So it's not as if it was a writer coming in cold to say this is what I want. It was somebody who'd written the book and worked in film and was able to. And I think that's perhaps, Mikey, why everything ties across so well.
Yeah.
And I think the funny thing is as well, if you realize that at the time of making this was crossing over with Spielberg making Schindler's List.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Could the two films be any further apart? And I think working on the two projects almost like simultaneously, within months of each other.
They crossed over, didn't they?
Well, he was watching Rushes, wasn't he? During Schindler's List, directing on that.
I think if he'd had his own way, Schindler's List would have been pushed in front of Jurassic Park, but I think the studio wanted that out first, with it being a Crichton property and a show of fire. And I think it was one of those, you get Jurassic Park out of the bag, you can have Schindler's List done. I think it was definitely one of them. And I mean, hats off. I mean, he had E.T. as the highest grossing movie of all time, and then surpassed himself with this movie. And it was also the highest grossing movie of all time until Titanic hit. So, high accolades, I believe.
I mean, it was probably Spielberg's last great action movie until probably War of the Worlds. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, War of the Worlds, his take on that is quite interesting. I think
It's
we'll,
incredible. I think. Yeah.
we'll deal with that down the line.
Yes.
But I mean, with it being pretty much the biggest movie in '93 and one of the biggest movies of all time, a sequel was bound to follow. And the sequel, I quite like. I mean, I do like the Lost World film. I really do. I think the book and the film, how the book and the film of Jurassic Park are similar, like the core ideas there, and there's various changes, but they're not like massive. The Lost World is so much different to the film, the book. The central thing about the second island and the factory floor and things like that, and then going on a quest to get things from there, that's the same, but so much of it is just so much different, so different. I think the Lost World book is a lot weaker than the film, and I still like the Lost World film. I don't think it's a weak film. I think it's building on the story without being a complete rehash.
I can't remember much of that. It's not something I've rewatched recently, has to be said. But
Yeah.
I've seen good memories of it though.
Yeah, and then onto Jurassic Park 3, which is the quantum of solace of the Jurassic Park films, where it's pretty much action all the way through, using lots of elements that were taken from the other books. And then you go on to Jurassic World, which, to be fair, is it's the fact that it's like, some 10 plus years later, or 20 years later, really. And I like the whole premise of it is like, what happens if Jurassic Park actually is open and working?
Yeah. No, I think Jurassic World itself is a great film, and it sort of inverts the whole idea in a way, doesn't it? And, this legacy idea of going back to the sort of bits of the film that we'd seen, like going down the tunnel to reset the electronics and all that sort
I
of
think
thing.
it's
Yeah.
I think it's one of the better. There's been a spate. I say a spate. It's been going on for quite a while now, where they've rehashed things that. I mean, I remember there was loads of things I used to like. My parents would go, "Oh, that's a remake of this," and now I'm at the point where my kids like things like, "Oh, that's a remake of this." But there's been a spate now of reboots and restart, redoing things and what have you. And I think Jurassic World is one of the better examples of rekindling a franchise.
Yes.
I think I really do think it is. It played on the same tropes. It used a lot of the same hooks to get you in, but it made real use of new technology, the ways to make the film bigger and better and what have you. I think it was a much better reboot than some of the other things we've had over the last, let's say, 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
I did find myself getting confused by the sequels.
Don't. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, with that, you've got the Indominant, where the InGen don't exist anymore, but the another company's taken over all the property of it, and they've opened the park.
Biosyn?
And it's Biosyn was their
They were the bad people
competitor.
in the first couple.
Yeah, they were the bad people. And Biosyn turned up again in one of the later sequels.
Right. Okay.
So I say after Jurassic World, then you go on to Fallen Kingdom. So that's basically the island gets consumed by a volcano, and steal some of the animals off there to be sold to a private consortium.
So
And then
King
some of
Kong,
them
basically.
yeah. So and the animals get loose. So then you've got the next film, Dominion, which is got like basically dinosaurs are now out in the wild amongst us, and Dominion brings back Laura Dern, and it brings back Sam Neill, brings back Jeff Goldblum, and this is the one where you've got the dinosaurs, you've got all that in, but you've also got like giant prehistoric locusts, which are like the kind of the big bad and stuff, and then that.
And then Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah. And then last year you had Jurassic World Rebirth, which was another attempt at this is attempt a bit of a reboot where the dinosaurs aren't adapting to the climate now and they're dying off. And this one's got Scarlett Johansson and that in. And funny thing is, I'm not that keen on it. It's okay. It's not too bad. The whole thing about the dinosaurs dying off, the way that they reasoned it doesn't make that much sense. But it's just a new way of looking at it, and it's one of Sarah's favorites. So go figure.
I felt for sure they were going to do Jurassic World in space, but they didn't.
But the thing is, though, is Rebirth, this last one, is actually performed the best of the last few. So guess what? There's gonna be another one. So I don't think. I mean, all kids, love dinosaurs, and this franchise, even if you only watch a couple of the films, there's so much in it to enjoy. And each of the films has got its own high points. Each of the films has got its own, set pieces that are worth watching. And I think young and old, there's something for the books and for the films for everybody.
They're really enjoyable. It's not just a scary fantasy science fiction type thing. It's a really enjoyable story, and it uses enough pseudoscience and all that kind of stuff to give it that air of kind of it could happen. What if? Do you know what I mean? It's like, so you get kind of dragged into it, and it's great. I mean, Rose loves it.
Yep. Sounds fun.
Couldn't get her to talk on the. She's like, "Come on up." She's like, "Nope, not doing it."
Yeah, we tried with Sarah, didn't we?
Yeah.
Hats off for an amazing score as well from Mr. John Williams.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. No.
Yeah, I mean the score is so iconic, and it's used in all of the films.
Yeah,
it's used at least in the end of every single film, and it's one of his classics.
Apparently, you can even get them on music boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if only it would actually the sound dampening would actually let you hear it.
It's a lovely thing, though.
So that is what we think of Jurassic Park and said sequels. So, right, Mikey, we're on an hour and a bit. We'll just make this the end of this episode, and we'll do the next
do a
one
sign off.
separate.
Do a sign off. Yeah.
So we all love dinosaurs, don't we? We just wouldn't like to appear. Well, if one of the scenes in the Lost World when the T-Rex gets loose in San Diego, spoiler alert, where that family wake up to find the dog being eaten and just the chain of the dog in the kennel coming out, and they're complaining to the kid that he's having nightmares. There's not really a T-Rex in the back garden. We just hope that never happens to us. And on that bombshell, I'd like to thank Mikie here.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Stuart Chandler. And Graham Tennick.
Thank you very much. It's been fun.
And join us next time where we're going into the bowels of hell with Event Horizon. All that's left to say is it's good night from me.
It's good night from him.
Take care.
And be kind.
Be kind.
Hey! Thanks for listening to this episode of Planet Sci-Fi from Planet Marzipan. Check out our brand new Facebook group or email us at planetmarzipanpodcast@gmail.com.